Ladies and gentlemen, the mixtape review y'all been waiting for. Annie Banani talking about Mr. Joseph Purple. Are you gonna be a good girl while Daddy reviews this Joey Purp album? You gonna be a good girl? Hey everyone, Dogthany Food Tano here, the internet's puppiest music nerd, petting on a puppy. And it's time for a review of the new Joey Purp mixtape, iiiDrops. Up-and-coming Chicago rapper Joey Purp, this is his second full-length mixtape, I believe. Following up 2012's Purple Tape, you might have heard Joey before on Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment album Surf a year or so ago. Also on Vic Mensa's Internet Tape, I could say it like that. And this is exactly the kind of mixtape that I've been waiting for this year. An up-and-comer, a new face, with just a solid, impressive, breakout project. Somebody who is coming through and just making you look forward to the future. Because we're getting some new blood in here and they're making some good music. 2016, while it has been a pretty good musical year, a lot of the conversation has been dominated by comebacks and big mainstream releases and very well-established artists. Shout out to Little Yachty though. It's called like Minnesota. And Joey Purp with this tape is giving us good reason to kind of shift focus a little bit. Now this tape features some pretty versatile rapping, some decent lyrics, some very high quality production, some of the best beats I've heard all year, honestly. The record kicks off with what I would refer to as a two-piece and a biscuit, the song Morning Sex, which just has 3 quality parts to it. I love the booming, soulful beat with the hot horn samples. That sounds great. Joey Purp's very steady flow, his charismatic delivery. What are you doing, dog? I like his voice a lot. It's commanding. It's attention-grabbing. It's a little raspy. It's heavy. And then we have the lyrics, which are pretty straightforward, but tell a personal tale of Joey coming from the city of Chicago. He's been on both sides of the burner. The lyrics are a little redundant as he kind of heavy-handedly repeats the refrain, the hook, again and again and again. But the track is a decent taster and sets a bit of a stage. Joey kind of reflecting on all the lives that he's seen lost on these streets of Chicago since he was young. But then after this track, which kind of sets us up for a very soulful and thoughtful rap record, we get a total mood shift on the track Girls with this very funky, clunky, danceable beat that sort of throws it back to, I don't know, some Clips, some Neptune style production. The track isn't deep, but it's just kind of funny, dumb fun. I love Joey's flow on this track, and it's just kind of a silly song about, hey, the girls hear this song, they're dancing, we're having a good time. It's sexy, and it's silly, and it's also a quirky pop rap track. And Chance the Rapper's verse on this cut is very conversational and playful too. The whole bit about tall girls and small girls and mid-sized girls, you bet! That was pretty hilarious. So already in these first 2 tracks, I'm hearing Joey being able to make some of these more thoughtful, soulful, passionate cuts that are personal and kind of introspective, and also these cuts that are very catchy. I wouldn't say commercial because they still kind of have an alternative edge to them, but they're certainly going for a more poppy angle. The song Money and Bitches, despite its kind of cliched title, is very self-awarely titled that, as the track sort of seems to be, from Joey's perspective, about this cycle of greed and materialism. And this track also features another heavy, soulful beat with some great horn samples, and Mick Jenkins actually appears for a verse too, and he comes off super passionate, thoughtful, as usual. His verse is a little meatier though. Joey once again kind of delivers this hook that he repeats ad nauseum. There's more hook than there is verse when it comes to Joey. It's on the song When I'm Gone that he really starts rapping in these kind of mini verses that are interrupted by these really quick shots of an R&B vocal lead from Teddy Jackson. His appearance is actually pretty great, and he brings the song a vibe that feels like this is just a classy commercial rap track from the aughts. There's definitely an early Kanye vibe, I think, on some of these tracks. The track is short. It's one of the shorter in the track listing here at 2 minutes and change, but it is a contemplative cut as Joey seems to be openly questioning the system and the powers that be and whether they're actually doing any good for the people of Chicago. On the song Photo Booth, we switch again to a poppier, catchier track, a very hooky beat. And there's actually a bit of a reference to a Vic Mensa song in the hook here. Vic Mensa appears on the project later. The song You Mad, featuring Kanye West, I believe. And some of Joey's verses, some of his lines on this cut are pretty funny. They're charismatic. There's a lot of non sequiturs to his verses. I like the beat, and I like his flow. But at this point on the album, I'm just hoping for a little bit more of some kind of lyrical or topical focus. This hook about this girl who will have sex off the gram for a photo op, it's just not really leaving that strong of an impression on me. But I guess I should have expected at least a little, I don't know, lack of focus on this project, given that our star of the show has like double vision, like literally on the cover. But here and there throughout these tracks, Joey does loop back into some familiar topics, whether that be the violence on the streets of Chicago or his brother who's in jail. He refers to his city as a jail itself with this cracked voice flow that sounds a little bit like Kendrick Lamar on the very next cut, the song Corner. And this is a delivery that he returns to once again on the song GODBODY, one of the hardest cuts in the track listing here. Then, out of nowhere, with the song we get this Latin jazz sample, which is kind of odd, but it's unfortunate that lyrically the track doesn't really offer much of anything. Not only is it just lined with all these really dumb, silly pickup lines, and consciously so. I think Joey's trying to make a silly track here, but his kind of moany flow on this cut I thought was just a little obnoxious. To be honest, the production on this track, I think, steals attention away from Joey because it's a really adventurous beat, and I do admire him for hopping on this instrumental for how left field it is, despite not really bringing that much in the way of interesting lyrics. But then on the song Kids, it gets a little worse. I would say this is my least favorite track in the track listing here. It's an auto-tune cut over a big booming beat with some really obvious lyrics saying that kids and drugs are like a bad mix. And again, it's another hook, it's another refrain that he just hands out ad nauseum. I wish that we were just getting more verses than we are hook on some of these tracks. It occasionally feels like Joey is kind of padding these tracks out. However, one thing I do gotta give to Joey on this cut is that his raspy voice and his very passionate, I guess I want to say a muscular delivery still shines through on the auto-tune, and this track doesn't sound like your average auto crooner ballad or anything like that. You know, he did an auto-tune track, but did it in a way where it felt like he wasn't directly ripping off anybody. And he could have gone that route. You know, he could have done a Future track, a Young Thug track, a Kanye track, but he didn't. You know, he sort of kept it his own thing, despite the fact that it didn't really read to me as enjoyable. The tape finishes off relatively strong with the song Winner Circle and the following cut too. Winner Circle is a pretty personal track, it seems. Joey once again going back to those themes of his city and violence and his personal struggle. Vic Mensa comes in and reinforces those themes with a pretty decent verse. Overall, I would say it's a pretty solid project. You know, it has its flaws, but it's good enough to the point where I'm going to be anticipating the next thing that Joey Purp does. The verses are kind of scant. Occasionally the production outshines Joey. Some of his bars are shallow, and I think he could use more in the way of solid topics and following through on those topics. But then again, this thing has some catchy hooks, some good flows, great production, solid features. I think that's going to be it for this review, starring my friend Sushi. Aw, what a good baby. What a good baby. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. Don't be a runaway. Don't be a runaway. I'm feeling a decent to strong 7 on this project. Tran. Oh, Zishin, get this hair off my head. Get it off my head. Have you given this mixtape a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe. Please don't cry because I gave the album a review that you didn't agree with. Joey Purp. iiiDrops forever.
Fuck yeah!